I'm Malcolm Mandelst, and this is an excerpt from Do the Wrong Thing, a book series or extra long novel that opens with a woman describing her suicide attempt as ordinary, like brushing my teeth. In an attempt to answer the question, why did I do it? She tells her life story. We're about a third through book 4, whose working title is Eyes of Different Colors. Thanks for having patience with the repeating materials. I worked through a new order for this section of the book. Last week, 2017, Ava was amazed by how out of order her memories were. And in 1989, she went to 2 rap concerts with Emily. I'm going to start with a revision to part of last week's reading and an update to the chapter title. This chapter was formerly called Do It, and now it's called a word I can't remember how to pronounce. Syncope. It basically means a contraction, like do not becomes don't. Reader, I'm lost. I can't remember what happened when. I'd like to blame the drinking, as if I'd suffered a 2-year blackout, but I know that depression also makes you forgetful and muddled. I have to be poetic going forward, which is euphemistic for the fact that events are going to be out of order. Spring will come right after fall, then we'll go straight to summer, stuff like that. Growth isn't linear and sensible anyway. It's like we're cells or spheres, and bits shoot out, or one part of us becomes lopsided. Anything but smooth. In my book outline, I placed these next sections 2 years from now, but when I Googled Ice-T, Schoolie D, and Public Enemy concert tour histories, Ice-T played Harbor on June 8th, 1989, Public Enemy in October, and Schoolie D, well, his recorded history is sketchy even, or maybe because he's literally the OG, original gangsta of gangsta rap. This hip-hop subgenre, which, as I said, Schoolie D started in 1985, really took off in 1989 with Niggas with Attitudes, Straight Outta Compton, going platinum that July, despite zero radio airplay and much hyped suppression by the FBI as well as others. Platinum, despite zero radio airplay. I couldn't believe it. Schoolie, of course, didn't get radio airplay either, and you'll see why when I quote a few of his lyrics in the section about his concert. Anyway, Schoolie must have toured and played Arbor the summer of 1989, like Ice-T, as part of that rap insurrection. Spike Lee's movie Do the Right Thing didn't influence me to seek out rap music, as I wrote in my outline, because it was released in the States on June 30th, and by then I'd already seen Ice-T. I invited Emily to the Ice-T concert, within weeks of meeting her, while my outline thinks we'd been working together for months already. I still lived with Eric and Marianne. Anyway, all this, Nerd and Doof, Anarchism, the Pioneer, Gangster Rap, Schoolie D, Advertising School, Emily, Eric, Marianne, Daniel, happened simultaneously. Maybe I wasn't lopsided, but growing outwards in multiple dimensions, cultures, friend groups, jobs, and formalized education, all related through an inarticulable drive to prove to my mother that I could survive without marriage and family, without giving up control of my life to a husband, and to somehow trust. Hey, at least I wasn't bulimic anymore. Then there's the remove part and the spheres on geodesic, multifaceted, etc., etc. And then the next section will start. I've added a little intro. Since he's the original gangsta, even if Ice-T went on to eclipse him fame-wise, I'll start with Schoolie. Then there'll be the scene at the Schoolie D concert where Ava and Emily are mistaken for music scouts. Then the stuff about Emily being a good friend and most of the scene at the Ice-T concert. Then some revision to the end of that scene as follows. From our vantage point, we can see what I presume is his entourage backstage. There is one woman, arms folded angrily across her chest, sitting on a chair, glowering at him. His wife? As buff and polished as he is, she is not. Her hair is in a loose bun, no makeup. Wearing a shapeless black dress, she verges on portly. Is she here to keep her proud pimp man away from other women? Ice-T brags about his pimp past and gang affiliations. This flies in the face of my feminism, but I'm drawn to the boldness, anger, and innovation of gangster rap. It's music made with turntables, old records, and cheap electronic gear like samplers and drum machines instead of normal instruments, with rapping, aka percussively reciting lyrics instead of singing them. Beat and meter transcending melody. Yet Niggas with Attitude go platinum. Zero radio airplay. Underground, popular, political, if not feminist, bombastic, journalistic, educational, about a culture and injustice, in North America no less, that I don't know exists. Gangster rappers express for me all the anger I can't. I never find out who the dumpy woman is. From the moment Rosie Perez starts dancing awkwardly and Do the Right Thing, I'm captivated. Reader, I wrote this scene before realizing that my interest in rap and Black culture happened concurrently with Nerd and Doof, etc. 1989, the number, another summer, sound of the funky drummer. Chuck D spits while Rosie changes from the plainest of red dresses to a blue leotard to a shiny silver boxing robe while the opening credits roll. It's not the story so much as the way it's told. Music, colors, rhythmic pacing, and cartoonish characters, sets and scenarios. Radio Raheem walking through every shot with his massive boombox on his shoulder, blaring Fight the Power. Mookie making love to Tina with an ice cube. Sal's son lamenting that his friends sneer at him for serving, well, I can't even use the word he uses, the N-word with the hard R that is sprinkled throughout Do the Right Thing by Black, white, and possibly Korean characters as well. The Korean corner store owners. Do the Right Thing opens my eyes to a whole new world. I didn't know that cops harassed Black people and threw them in jail all the time for no reason. I didn't know that despite the fact that radio stations wouldn't play Niggas with Attitudes straight out of Compton, it went platinum. I barely heard of rap music. I buy Air Jordans. I find a store, though it's more like a tiny office in a low-rise walk-up near the Pioneer where a chubby white guy in a baseball t-shirt sells cassettes of obscure rap bands with cheaply printed black and white insert covers. The real deal. But the raps are slow and labored, so I go back to the bigger name acts like Niggas with Attitude, Public Enemy, and Boogie Down Productions. I can't get enough of rap. I buy cassette after cassette at Hi-Fi. Do the Right Thing may have been the first movie Emily and I went to see together. Obviously, it's not. That would have added to its impact. I fell so friend in love with Emily. Do the Right Thing made me want to be Black. I remembered the old man in New Orleans who told me I must have Black blood in me somewhere. I had laughed it off at the time, but could it be? I had great-grandparents that grew up in orphanages. Oh, did I want to be Black? I wanted to suffer like Black people did, so I'd have energetic stories to tell instead of my insipid, droopy ones. I wanted to have nothing to live for so I could scream and dance, nothing to protect, nothing to keep silent about, music rattling around inside me and coming out. But I wasn't Black. At least if I was, it wasn't much. So when Public Enemy came to town in October, I did the right thing and paid off my debts instead of spending $50 for 2 tickets. I'd have had to take Toposi's son because no one I knew would go, and thus I'd have to buy his ticket as well as mine. If they weren't playing in the East End at an out-of-the-way, all-ages club, Emily might have gone, but she didn't like to travel that far and definitely didn't like the crime-ridden East End. To be honest, I was afraid of the area too. And the club. The Swans, a brutal noise band with songs like Raping a Slave, had played there once. It may have been an all-ages club, but it wasn't for kids. And nonetheless, I'm seriously considering bringing 12-year-old Gerald. One of Public Enemy's members, Flava Flav, wore a big watch around his neck like a child's entertainer, and the group always performed with the S1Ws, a group of dancers that dressed in army fatigues. Professor Griff, the band's Minister of Information, dressed in fatigues too. Chuck D was the only normal-looking member. The band had a comic book, blockbuster movie quality that would appeal to a 12-year-old. This was Public Enemy's first headlining tour before they got super famous. Posey would love the band's Black Power lyrics. She'd have had no problem letting her son go with me. But I did the right thing, and have regretted it ever since.